I'm Liz Faublas, and this is Current's Weekend Review. For several weeks, we've reported the news about Hurricane Sandy's effects on our area. Tonight, an update. The subways are still far from normal. Service for 500,000 riders remains disrupted 40 days after the storm struck. 3 stations in Lower Manhattan are closed. There's no service in the Rockaways. And the R line has less trains, is making fewer stops, and is impacting the most people. No clear timetable for when service will be fully restored. But there is a timetable for the reopening of the Intrepid Sea, Air, and Space Museum. The World War II aircraft carrier shut down by storm damage will be fully underway in 2 weeks. Today, the December 7th anniversary of the attack on Pearl Harbor, the Intrepid served as the backdrop for a memorial service. On this day in 1941, Japanese air and naval forces bombed the U.S. base in Hawaii. The attack marked the beginning of global war as the United States joined the fight against Japan and the Nazis in Europe. More than 2,500 American sailors were killed on that day 71 years ago. Today, 8 survivors helped toss a wreath into the Hudson River to honor them. The Intrepid was commissioned in 1943 and fought the Japanese in the Pacific. High above the Pacific and all the oceans and continents, a new and powerful NASA satellite has captured remarkable nighttime images of Hurricane Sandy and our country. This image of the United States showing the lights of the night also illustrates where people live. The vast plains of the Midwest are much darker than the rest of the country. Here is the image of the hurricane as it's about to slam into the New Jersey coast. The lights onshore are on the left side of that image. The satellite is more than 500 miles above the Earth. Well, when the storm did strike, it killed and destroyed. It also terrorized. A young boy in Queens, an 8th grader, helped his family survive, but at a price.
The sun isn't up at breakfast time for the Panettas.
How tired are you?
Very.
Tim, Ryan, Christian, and Carly are now living in a borrowed 1-bedroom apartment with their parents.
How long is your commute to school now?
It feels almost like 2 hours.
And what did it used to be?
15 minutes.
Wow.
6:30 a.m. and they're at the door. A long car ride.
Have a good day.
Then a bus to Ryan's temporary school, PS 13.
It's unreal how much our life has changed, you know, when we're trying to make the best of it.
He's an 8th grade honors student, one of 5,400 New York students still in different schools because of Sandy.
He's the one that I think was probably impacted the most, and yet he has the strongest will to be here every day.
When something brings you down, you gotta get up.
You okay, buddy? What makes you so sad?
I honestly don't know.
Everything.
It's everything.
Come to the front of the VFW for hot meals.
How'd it go today, Ryan?
Every day after school, Ryan returns to Broad Channel to help his dad try to put their home back together.
Everything I owned, everything I worked hard for, everything was there. It's gone. There's nothing.
Joe was working overnights and Karen was home with their 4 children when Sandy hit.
It was unbelievable how quick it came in.
The water rushed into their 1-story house. Ryan swam to a neighbor for help.
I jumped out.
You jumped out here in the water?
Yes. I wasn't even thinking that like a log would hit me or anything.
Or the electrical power lines?
Yeah.
You swam to this house?
Yes, right here. And they took us in to the 2nd floor.
The neighbor helped bring the rest of the family over, and they watched as the water engulfed the only home they've known.
What did you think when your 13-year-old son jumped in the water?
You know, I was panicking. I was panicking.
Did Ryan help save your family?
Absolutely.
No question.
Absolutely.
I was thinking that the water was gonna come.
Do you feel like your brother helped save you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now all the Panettas are working to rebuild their home and erase the bad memories.
After what I've just been through, like, I don't hope I have to see anything that terrifying again.
Poppy Harlow, CNN, Broad Channel, New York.
The Panetta family had some insurance coverage, but they haven't received any checks yet. Meantime, the terror of the earth moving underfoot struck Japan today. A 7.3 earthquake off the northeast coast rattled buildings in Miyagi. The swaying lasted for several minutes. The city's train station also shook, but no significant damage was reported. Narita Airport was closed briefly so that the runways could be checked. There was some momentary panic among office workers, but most of Japan's buildings are designed for earthquakes, and despite the strength of today's shock, everything still seems to be standing. The Fukushima nuclear plant that melted down during last year's quake escaped further damage today. No one was injured or killed. The death toll in the Philippines, however, is high. Almost 400 people are dead after a monster typhoon hit the country earlier this week. And as was the case with our hurricane, Catholic rescue workers are on the scene where they were the first on the scene. The flooding shown here is in New Bataan, a city of 80,000 people. The chief of Catholic Relief Services in the Philippines, Joe Curry, is reporting that a CRS emergency team reached New Bataan yesterday and found everything covered in mud. Curry says the destruction is total, the worst he's ever seen. Food, medicine, and water are being distributed by the Catholic rescuers right now, but Curry says the supplies may not reach the worst hit areas until Monday because of blocked roads and washed out bridges. When disaster strikes and workers from other groups known as non-governmental organizations, or NGOs for short, often join Catholics on the front lines. Cardinal Oscar Rodriguez Maridiaga is the president of Caritas, the Catholic relief agency, and he says there is a difference for the Catholics.
We are not acting such as another NGO. We are motivated by faith. We are doing what we do because we are believers.
The Cardinal adds the work of the secular organizations is certainly welcomed by all. One of the top Catholic bishops in Egypt is sharply critical of the constitution that Mohamed Morsi is trying to push through by a popular vote set for next week. Bishop Adel Zaki says the document, which supports the president's power grab, cannot unify Egypt because it was cooked in a hurry and now divides the nation. The bishop warns that the nightmare of civil war looms over Egypt. Thousands of the Islamists who support Morsi attended the funeral of 2 men killed in the violent battles in Cairo between the two sides. At almost the same time, thousands of Morsi opponents headed to the presidential palace, yelling for Morsi to leave. The Coptic Church in Egypt has denounced the new constitution, calling it a document for Islamists and not Egyptians. Last night, President Obama called Morsi to express his concern about developments there. Meantime, no word out of the White House or the Pentagon today regarding Syria's chemical weapons and the actions of Bashar al-Assad to prepare them for an attack. His government soldiers, meanwhile, are fighting defensive battles around the capital of Damascus as rebels press in. And they are now saying the city's main airport is a fair target and travelers should stay away. A meeting yesterday between State Secretary Hillary Clinton and the Russian foreign minister was supposed to be a big deal to bring an end to the Syrian civil war. She's now saying it accomplished nothing. A meeting between the president of Germany and Pope Benedict centered on the current global economic crisis yesterday. But as we learn now, the gathering of the two Germans also had some enjoyable moments.
Benedict XVI welcomed Germany's President Joachim Gauck at the Vatican's Apostolic Palace. Upon greeting the Pope, Gauck said he was visiting not only as a president and fellow German, but above all as a human being and a Christian. Speaking in their native German, they talked about the financial crisis and the effects it's having not only on the economy, but also in Europe's international relations. They also discussed ways in which the Catholic Church could offer help. The Pope seemed at ease during the meeting, smiling and laughing throughout. As a gift, President Gauck gave the Pope his biography and also a wooden cane for his summer walks along Castel Gandolfo. To make him feel at home, the President also gave the Pope cookies that are popular in Germany during Advent. In exchange, the Pope gave Gauck a tile image of St. Peter's Square and also a printed image of the Vatican.
The Holy Father and the German leader also discussed the great challenges posed by the growing secularization of society. Up next, the activities of the season pick up pace as Current's Week in Review continues after the break. Welcome back. The U.S. bishops are announcing a new strategy aimed at creating a movement for life, marriage, and religious freedom. San Francisco's Archbishop Salvatore Cordileone, who heads up the Bishops' Committee on Marriage, says the strategy is meant to be simple, a call to prayer and sacrifice. The key elements: the rosary, holy hours, fasting, and a second fortnight for freedom. The program begins after Christmas. Meantime, our Bishop of Brooklyn and Queens, Bishop DiMarzio, is in the spirit of the season. We caught up with him on what was a special day yesterday.
Today we have the annual Bishop's Christmas Luncheon. It's a time when we raise money for the children of the diocese. By coincidence, today is December the 6th, the feast of St. Nicholas, Bishop of Myra, which today is in modern Turkey. He was a bishop in the 4th century and was a promoter of understanding the correct relationship between the two natures of Jesus Christ, the human and divine.
Well, the three honorees that we have today are wonderful people. I know all of them. I worked with Monsignor Bracken for many, many years, and he started many of the development programs that we have in our diocese, the Catholic Foundation, which was previously known as the Alive and Hope Foundation. Joe Gagan has been affiliated with the diocese, has been volunteering for so many years. He's on our finance board. He's the chair of the Catholic Foundation for Brooklyn and Queens. And Joe Palumbo is a friend of mine. I know Joe for about 10 years, him and his family. And Joe is just a very generous man. He has a lot of faith.
The teachers, the nuns, the nuns are the backbone of the church, and they always have been, and they always will be. They're the unsung heroes. I truly believe that. But the priests, and they were always good for me. They were always there for me. They nurtured me, and I could never give to them what they've given to me through the years.
In addition to the honorees, we thought it would be a good idea to honor all of those priests and pastors and principals that are serving in the parishes that were greatly affected by the hurricane. Today, we raised over $750,000 that will be used for scholarships, and this year those scholarships we're going to direct them to the children that are most in need.
I guess the most important thing would, of course, be, all the kids who were affected by Sandy, and the fact that a lot of kids can't have the best education they can. And I know that it's really important to have a good school.
I feel like it makes people, they have better morals when they leave Catholic school, most people anyway. and I don't know, it helps you become a better person, better Christian.
And it's officially Christmas season at the White House.
2, 1.
The president and first family flipped the switch. The 90th time a president has performed the honors at the White House. The tree is 28 feet tall and comes from Colorado. And while the president is the big man in Washington, when it comes to Christmas, there is somebody more important.
Oh, here he is! Hey, Santa! Santa!
Oh, you better watch out. You better not cry. You better not shout. I'm telling you why. Santa Claus is coming to town.
Well, one thing that would get bipartisan agreement, he's a pretty good singer. Up next, an update on the Pope's Twitter numbers and his power list ranking as Current's Week in Review continues after the break. Welcome back. Concerned tonight about Notre Dame, the university's president, Father John Jenkins, has decided to establish a homosexual student organization at the Catholic school. Father Jenkins says he wants to create an inclusive environment for all students. Critics say it potentially undermines Catholic teaching and is incompatible with Notre Dame's Catholic identity. Well, a Catholic university in our diocese has just been honored for excellence, one of 4 schools in the borough to gain that recognition. I went to the campus of St. Francis College to learn the reasons why. They are considered among Brooklyn's finest. 4 small colleges that earned big accolades, scoring high marks on the U.S. News and World Report's rankings of the top schools in the Northeast. They include the Pratt Institute, Brooklyn College, St. Joseph College, and this school, St. Francis College, located in the heart of bustling downtown Brooklyn. I asked Tim Houlihan, the provost of the school, known to faculty and staff as the small college of big dreams, why the honor is so important.
It's recognition of a lot of hard work that goes on at a variety of different levels on campus. Everyone from admissions and the rest of the administration through the faculty, all the way through the staff. It's just a recognition of an overall quality.
Houlihan said St. Francis College, the first private school in the Diocese of Brooklyn, has seen a steady uptick in enrollment, largely due to lower tuition costs. Undergraduate students pay an average of $19,000 a year. I asked how St. Francis is able to keep costs low and academic value high.
Fishes and loaves. I don't know what else to say. Sometimes it really is a miracle. But again, it's commitment by a lot of people to work very hard, to trim some corners, not have quite as many amenities as some other institutions.
Amenities notwithstanding, the school draws students who say you simply can't put a number on the cost of a good education.
You can't replace these years you can't go back. So I would rather spend time here paying triple or quadruple than paying a quarter and not getting the same educational value out of college.
Every time I walk into the campus, I have a great feeling. And it's because of the great Franciscan spirit that runs through the halls each and every day.
Founded by the Franciscan Brothers in 1859, the college's mission is rooted in Franciscan and Catholic traditions.
St. Francis College is located in downtown Brooklyn. Therefore, it is multicultural, it's multi-ethnic, it's multilingual, and multi-complicated. But we love it here. We love all those, the understanding of the variety of what goes on here in downtown Brooklyn.
In addition to its commitment to academic excellence and the fostering of spiritual and moral values, the school's diversity reflects the society we live in today.
We're all sisters and brothers of the same God. We're all God's children. And we should respond and act like God's children. We're not just Catholics only. The majority are. There are many Protestant students. There are a number of Jewish students. And we have a growing Muslim student population. Why? Because there's a growing Muslim student population here in New York City.
And in stark contrast to the school's Catholic chapels adorned with signs of the Advent season and the images of saints that Catholics worship, a prayer room, nondescript by design, intended to act as a sanctuary for the school's interfaith population, where the practice of their faith is not only accepted, but encouraged.
The whole point of this room is that so students that are Muslim students, they could come down and they could pray because we pray 5 times a day, they could come down and pray whenever they have the chance. One thing about St. Francis is that we don't really look at the differences as much as a community because we're surrounded by a culture in St. Francis at least that concentrates on the similarities and progress in life and the meaning, putting meaning into your life.
While faculty, staff, and students are proud of the nod from U.S. News and World Report, there is an even greater distinction.
The mission of the college to educate and develop the full person, the total person, the person who excels in the classroom, but more importantly, the person who excels in life by making a difference in the lives of others. And every student who walks through these halls each and every day understands that they're supposed to leave the college to make a difference in the world.
Now, tuition of $19,000 a year may seem a bit rich, but by comparison, at St. John's, the cost is $50,000, and at Columbia, the price is an eye-popping $61,600 for 1 year. Well, Pope Benedict is only the 5th most powerful person in the world, according to Forbes magazine. President Obama is atop the list, with Angela Merkel, Vladimir Putin, and Bill Gates ahead of the Holy Father. Obviously, the magazine writers forgot to consult with God. For Twitter users, meanwhile, the Pope is hot. This week, we've been watching with you as followers sign up at a dizzying rate. The last official count as of yesterday morning stood at 700,000. 10,000 more are joining every hour, and the Holy Father hasn't even sent out his first tweet yet. That's set for December 12th. His handle is Pontifex. Up next, Into the Deep with Bishop of Brooklyn after the break. Welcome back to Currents Week in Review. Yesterday we reported that actor Stephen Baldwin was complaining he couldn't get any movie roles and that Hollywood had turned its back on him because he was a Christian.
I decided to really get into God's Word, really get into a prayer life, thinking, Rick, honestly, it would never make a difference. I didn't think it was going to make that big of a difference. It has radically transformed who I am.
Well, now it seems Mr. Baldwin has other problems besides no buddies in Hollywood. He got locked up yesterday, charged with failing to pay New York State more than $350,000 in taxes. His lawyer says he didn't commit a crime. He could go to jail for 4 years if convicted. Well, the economy was a controversial topic at last month's Fall Assembly of the U.S. Bishops, and it's the first topic tonight as we go into the deep with Bishop DiMarcio. Our news director, Ed Wilkinson, asked him about it recently.
Bishop, nice to see you.
Good to be here.
A couple of weeks ago, you were at the U.S. Bishops plenary meeting in Baltimore, and I think the biggest thing was something that didn't happen at the meeting. Bishops did not pass their statement on the economy that they wanted to.
Yes.
What was the problem? What happened there?
Well, at the June meeting, there had been decided that we should say something about the economy, and a committee was authorized to work on it. Unfortunately, we did not get the statement until we arrived at the meeting itself, which is never a good thing because bishops want to be able to absorb what we're saying and try to change it if they thought it could be improved. It wasn't a perfect document. The committee recognized that. Everything can be improved. What can you say? It was a theological statement for the most part, a solidarity of trying to take church teaching and apply it to the present situation. But since it came the last minute and there were bishops that wanted a more technical analysis, it just did not get to the floor. It was really tabled so that at a time in the future it can be worked on. The administrative committee meets in March, so they maybe have something ready by then.
Yeah. Do you think there was any reluctance to get involved in what might have been considered a political statement that soon after the elections?
No, that wasn't it at all. It just was the dissatisfaction with the timing and the theological nature of it. Again, there was some dispute who felt should be more of an analytic approach, saying this is what we think is better from a moral point of view. And then this statement really was more a theological reflection on it. So there was a difference of opinion.
Yeah. One thing that did get passed was a document on preaching, and apparently it was the first time in about 30 years that the bishops had addressed this issue.
Right.
Why was that important that the bishops say something about it?
Well, I think if you ask the most lay people, that there's always a dissatisfaction with preaching. Now, again, preaching is an art. It's not a science. It's an art. It has to be perfected. Every preacher tries to do his best, certainly to influence the mind and the heart of people. I think today in our world we are up against tremendous competition from television, radio. Everything is succinct. The message is well planned. And it's difficult in a pulpit to get that same attention from people.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, people expect a lot, and they don't really maybe listen the way they should. But so this document was to the preachers and to the listeners, so that we do come away from the liturgy with a reflection on the Word of God that's mutual and that will inspire us and direct our actions.
Mm-hmm. There's also a statement about the sacrament of penance, and bishops were urging people, especially those who have not been to confession in a long time, to come back and not to be afraid.
Right.
What was...
It's a brief statement that was emphasizing that the new evangelization begins in the confessional, which is a kind of a quote from Benedict XVI. My own pastoral letters on new evangelization, I put it in a little different way. I said the new evangelization begins with conversion. So conversion is an act of the will, and at times we need confession to sacramentalize our conversion. So I think it was a good thing to say, and certainly the downstate diocese here in New York, Brooklyn and Rockville Center, every year we've had, now 3 years in a row, we've done it together, the Monday of Holy Week, a day where you can go to almost any church and find somebody there to hear confession. So that's something we're going to work on this year too, to make that a centerpiece of the year of faith and of the new evangelization.
Cardinal Dolan threw a little feeler out there. He said that maybe we'll go back to Fridays without meat.
Well, there was a committee recommendation that they had one of the things of Friday abstinence. But again, it is the point is conversion. It is the point is fasting and abstinence, but it sacrifices what it is. It's not just meatless Fridays, because today, if you want to look at things, the fish costs more than the meat. So, and some people like lobster better than something else.
Sure.
So, again, it's a symbolic thing, but what is necessary that we do find some way to do penance in our lives to restrain ourselves, because what is it? It's the will. You know, we have to train our will to look for the good, because the will, you know, normally will take the easier path. Everything that's wrong seems to be a lot easier, a lot more attractive. But again, when we restrain ourselves, the will becomes strengthened, and we're able to follow what's good in an easier way.
And the bishops put forth, they're working on a 4-year plan for evangelization, strengthening the faith of people. Is that going to have any practical effect here, what we do in the diocese?
Well, I think we're well into the same kind of planning that happened, and it is a strategic look at the future for new evangelization, and also for the conference to be able to support dioceses in what they're doing, so that they kind of were trying to get in concert with the national effort.
Okay. Thank you, Bishop, for being with us today.
You're welcome. Okay.
And thank you for joining us. For all of us here at Currents, I'm Liz Faublas. Thank you for watching, and have a good night.